What's up, everybody? Welcome to day one of TPS Miami, my brand new Miami studios, my brand new couch. And with it comes brand new content, more thoughtful content that I hope you guys will really like. Today, we present why you can't hate the Raiders for trading Khalil Mack. He was the 5th overall pick in 2014, a 3-time Pro Bowler, the 2016 Defensive Player of the Year, and the consensus second best defensive player in the league. And the Oakland Raiders traded him. Come on!
Come on! Come on! Come on!
What gives? Weren't the Raiders supposed to be in win-now mode? The AFC West is mediocre at best, so why trade their franchise player away? Fans are calling for Jon Gruden's head, and it's easy to see why. Mack is one of the most dominant edge rushers in the league and was the cornerstone of that defense. Trading him away when the division is at its weakest is tantamount to waving the white flag for the season. So why is Gruden still employed? Why is he still heading the team he just seemingly tore apart? The offense is the best it's been in a long time, and the defense was only going to improve with Bruce Irvin and the young guns like Khalil Mack. Is it because Jon Gruden is cheap? Is it because he wanted to control the team the way he wanted to do it? Oh, I'm not sure. Obviously, there was a rift in the organization if they let a generational talent like Mack walk, right? Are we done? Good, because this was just a happy accident. This trade is unpopular, but it's not as bad as you think. And if you're a Raiders fan, dry your tears, take a breath, watch this video, because at the end, you will feel better and maybe even a little optimistic about your team. Let's break it down. The cash grab. Mack was expensive after holding out for the entire preseason, and with the NFL deadline for establishing the 53-man roster fast approaching, it seemed as though the two parties could not meet eye on a sufficient dollar amount. Don't believe me? Here's what Jon Gruden had to say about it. The negotiation was what it was. It was tough. We made an offer. I don't believe we were anywhere close to where the Bears were. The Bears made us an offer that we thought was really unique. Still skeptical? Well, let's hear from the GM. We will pay top dollar. We couldn't get around giving Khalil what he wanted. We will pay top dollar to top players. Is that really shocking? The Raiders signed Derek Carr to a record 5-year, $125 million contract in June of 2017. $40 million of that was fully guaranteed. Gruden's contract itself is also 10 years and $100 million. It's not crazy to think they simply couldn't afford a high-level contract for Mack. In the wake of Aaron Donald's 6-year, $135 million contract with $87 million guaranteed, it's easy to see why Mack felt he deserved a high dollar amount. He does deserve a high dollar amount, though. The reality is that teams are worried about the return on investment. If the Raiders offered Mack a lucrative contract, they would expect over-the-top play from him. If he fell short of those expectations, even just a little bit, then he would be labeled as overpaid or would fall into the category of players who got paid and then quit. I'm not saying that that's what Mack is going to be, but the onus is now on Chicago to see if Mack will live up to or fail short of his new contract. A contract, by the way, that makes him the highest paid defender in NFL history. If Mack doesn't live up to those expectations, then the Raiders can rest easy, knowing that they snagged 2 future first-rounders in a time where rookie contracts are small enough that they can change a franchise with positive impact on a small budget. Believe it or not, this isn't the first time a team has traded a talented player for the promise of a bright future. Let's go back to the 1980s and the Dallas Cowboys. Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker was selected by the Cowboys in the 5th round as the 114th overall pick and was signed in 1986 to a 5-year, $5 million contract. This addition was huge for America's team as it represented the second backfield in NFL history that sported 2 Heisman winners. Walker won it in '82, Tony Dorsett won it in '76. This was supposed to be the missing piece for Dallas, a team that had made the playoffs every year since 1975 and had won the conference 5 times already, as well as 2 Super Bowls. A match made in heaven, it appeared, but boy, they were wrong. Walker earned more than Dorsett, who had a 5-year, $4.5 million contract, and that created tension. His demand for more touches, that didn't help, and his constant griping to management about his frequent position changes, it all ended up with Walker being traded to Minnesota in 1989 for 5 players and 6 draft picks. Were Dallas fans upset? Yeah, I'm sure they were at the time, but Walker didn't live up to the hype or the paycheck. Yes, he had a career year in '88 after Dorsett was traded, but in '87, he amassed only 891 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. A $5 million contract may not seem like a lot in today's NFL, but back then it was, and Walker was not living up to it. And I can hear the arguments from all the way here on my comfortable couch. Walker made 2 consecutive Pro Bowls in '87 and '88, then became the 10th NFL player to finish with more than 2,000 combined rushing and receiving yards in a season. So why trade him? Because of those very numbers. Walker was traded at the height of his career with hopes of a really high return, and that's exactly what they got from Minnesota. Want to know who those picks turned out to be? Yeah, just some small names like Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, Kevin Smith, and Darren Woodson. The trade was the turning point for the franchise, and it led to the Cowboys dynasty as they went on to win 3 Super Bowls in the next 6 years. Will the Raiders be the next on that list of teams to turn around their franchise after trading away a star? Will this be their trade? Hard to say, but hey, they traded Mack at the peak of his career for a boatload of picks in hopes that they will land their own versions of Emmitt Smith or Woodson. If they believe they have their quarterback already in Derek Carr, then the rest of the pieces should be able to fall in place soon for the Raiders. A brighter future. That's the hope for the Raiders anyway. Fun fact, the last time a team traded away 2 first-round picks was in 2009, and they were traded away by, drumroll please, you guessed it, the Bears. Back then they traded away 2 first-rounders and a third-rounder and Kyle Orton for Jay Cutler. Did that work out? I'll just sit here and let you decide. So why do it again? Because Mack is really that good. Probably. The Raiders aren't worried about that, though. All they see is the future, and I can hear the hate from here. What future could be brighter than the one they had? Well, the Raiders have Carr, Amari Cooper, Jordy Nelson, and Marshawn Lynch on offense. That's a pretty good list of young talent and veteran talent. Listen, do you know how the future could be dimmer? It's if Mack sat out the first games of the season or the entire season because he couldn't get a deal done with the team. Worse yet, if he was cut because he couldn't make a deal with the team. The Raiders were in a stalemate. Both Gruden and McKenzie alluded to. Really, what options did they have? His rookie contract in 2014 was 4 years, $18.6 million, meaning that his contract was up. He wasn't looking for an extension. He was looking for a brand new deal and an expensive one. If a new one could not be negotiated, then he would be a man without a paycheck. He would be a free agent, free to go where he wanted with no return to the Raiders. When you cast it in that light, the deal doesn't make it seem that bad. But I get it. It's easy to hate sending Mack away because it's easy to envision his success given that the AFC West is projected to be so mediocre. The 2018 projections have the Chargers, some people have them winning the Super Bowl. I say maybe like 10 wins. The Chiefs right around there as well, with the Raiders and Broncos kind of rounding out the division. It sounds like the Raiders got the short end of the stick, but they really didn't, with Carr leading the offense and Mack leading the defense. It's fun to envision the Raiders running train on the division, but there are no guarantees in football. Even first-round draft picks are no guarantee for success, But if the projections are even close to accurate as to what's going to happen in the division, then the Raiders will be bad enough to land a top 10 selection with their own draft pick. And if the Bears are bad, they might be able to get another great pick as well in that tough NFC North. The Raiders could potentially land on like 2 top 10 picks. That's not too shabby. The Raiders are gambling. Yes, of course, which, I mean, it seems fit as they're moving. They're gambling with the hopes of adding talent across the roster in 2 subsequent drafts, saving cash on a contract that would have bankrupted the team and setting up the team, Raiders fans hope, for success in the near future. It's a big gamble, and it lies solely on Gruden's ability to draft effectively. And just like all gambles, it has the potential for greatness or disaster. If he strikes gold on the picks, then his legacy will be cemented in Raiders history as making a great, albeit unpopular, trade to ensure long-term success. And if he fails, then there will be a giant red flag on his legacy, and it will serve as a boiling point for Raiders fans. Only time will tell, and only, one day? Kickoff's soon. Kickoff's really soon. We're about to find out. Dating players, not marrying them. Those were the words from former Gruden quarterback Jeff Garcia. He's not wrong. Idealistically speaking, Gruden wants to spend the $22 million he saved by trading Mack on multiple players. Not surprising, as he did the same thing when he was in Tampa Bay. But can you blame him? He won the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers with the strategy of not signing players to long-term deals. The Bucs may still be paying for it, but they have a ring and a banner. Probably one of the greatest defenses ever to play. In the meantime, it worked for Tampa, so why can't it work for Oakland? Fans they'll point to the fact that the Bucs had a top-tier defense, something that the Raiders could have had they not traded away their star defender. But were they really actually that good? I mean, Mack is undoubtedly one of the best in the game, but football is not about a single player, especially on defense. As a defense, they ranked 22nd overall in 2017. In the last 2 seasons, they were 23rd in total yards allowed, 26th in passing yards allowed, and 20th in points allowed. Is Mack to blame for all of that? Not really. It may seem counterproductive to trade him away because their entire defense was really bad. But remember how we talked about contracts and money? Well, it all comes back to business in the end. That's, at the end of the day, what drove this decision. ESPN noted it would have cost something like $48 million per year to keep just Carr and Mack in town, which amounts to 27% of the salary cap. 2 players for a fourth of the salary cap. Could the Raiders have made cutbacks elsewhere to ensure 2 cornerstone pieces stayed in place? Yeah, probably, but Gruden is on a 10-year contract. He's playing the long game, and this was a necessary move despite how much heat he has to take for it. Rookie quarterbacks. It's tough when you have 2 players that are the highest paid or close to the highest paid at their positions. The economic part of it certainly weighs in. You've got to build a 53-man roster, and there are some implications of having 2 players making that much money. That's what Jon Gruden has to say about it. Once again, he's not wrong. It's a business. It's hard to envision the Raiders being so stingy when it comes to their franchise defender, but when we look around the league, we can see it's really not that surprising, and it starts with Carr. We talked about his contract already, 5 years, $125 million. But let's talk about the rest of the league, shall we? Aaron Donald, he signed a 6-year, $135 million contract with the Rams. How did that happen? Because their quarterback, Jared Goff, is still under a rookie contract. The Bears signed Mack, 6 years, $141 million. How? Because Mitch Trubisky is still on his rookie contract. The fun continues. The Cardinals, they have Chandler Jones on a 5-year, $82 million contract because Josh Rosen is a rookie. His contract is 4 years, $16.7 million. Dallas, DeMarcus Lawrence, 1 year, $17.1 million contract. That's because Dak is in his 3rd year of his rookie contract, making $2.7 million. That's it. Philadelphia, Fletcher Cox, 6-year, $120 million contract because Carson Wentz, he was about to be the MVP. He's still on his rookie contract. Those rookie contracts allow for defensive players to get paid. Rookie contracts, especially for quarterbacks, are imperative when talking about offering other players large contracts. With quarterbacks under rookie contracts, the team can spend as it deems fit. If that means overpaying, then so be it. As long as the potential is on the high end of the spectrum, then spend away and deal with salary issues when the rookie contract expires. So that is what rookie contracts are made for. In the end, the plan is unclear for Gruden going forward. If clinching the division in his first season is the first step of the plan, then they may not have been a better year to do it than this one. On the other hand, committing 27% of your salary to 2 players leaves you paper thin for the remaining 51 players on the roster. 51 players! Gruden took a gamble, and this season will represent the flop, the river, and the turn for the Raiders. If it doesn't pan out, Gruden's tenure may be shorter than anticipated. Hope you guys like this newer, bigger, more research style of video. I certainly enjoyed making it. Hope you guys like the new set. Hope you like the chair. Until next time, keep watching us. I'm Mike Cantalupo. Thanks for watching.